maybe just a simple one or two do's and don't from the company's perspective, like what they should keep in mind. And I think we should flip it to say that even from the Gen Z's perspective, right? Let's not put it all on the company side. What can they do, as a prospective employee or as a role model employee, perhaps if they can become one, right? So two ways where you can think of simple one or two tip that the companies keep 1, 2 in mind, and same thing on the Gen Z side.
Yeah, it's a terrific question. A great way to end. My headline here is kind of empathy among generations. Like, try to appreciate that different doesn't mean bad.
Yeah.
Like this is, and that and that's, again, I feel like, again, why is important, because that can help both sides get a better understanding of what that other side, what that other generation, other members of the workforce are trying to achieve. So I'll speak first to the company side. What's a good way to start thinking about Gen Z? Well, there is so much to like about Gen Z. They're very DIY. They're very used to just doing things, looking things up on their own, and taking action. They're highly entrepreneurial. We're seeing the highest rates of entrepreneurship of any generation. They have these side hustles many times where they're learning and developing a lot of skills that they're actually bringing into the workforce. They're extremely, we've talked about values. They really do care about the values. It's not just lip service. And they're very well around it. Like they think about work-life balance. And a lot of companies are like, oh, they're lazy, they're not working hard. They're thinking about burnout too, because what good is it for someone to have someone who just works so hard that all of a sudden a month later they're just kind of worthless because they're so burnt out, and that's a good way for people to fatigue and to want to leave a job too. So they're trying to measure and balance that. So yeah, it's the thing I tell companies, like, guess what? Like it or not, Gen Z is the future of the workforce.
Sure. Yes,
So
no, absolutely. Yeah,
it makes sense now to start talking, communicating, empathizing with them, try to get an understanding of how can our workforce evolve to better serve these future generations of workers and leaders. So yeah, that's my main, hopefully optimistic perspective.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And again, anything from the Gen Z side, I mean, should they all kind of just, maybe be a bit humble? I mean, I'm just, again, like you said, I think there's so much upside and there's so much positives that we should all kind of extract or see as we try and get them, because I think they will be the one cohort who will be there the longest among all the generations now, if it's right, for the next 30 years or 40 years or even more. But from their perspective, just any quick tip, I mean, be a little flexible, or I don't know, what would you say?
So I've definitely some ideas for the Gen Z. So the first thing I like to stress to them is, let's say you are running into some roadblocks. You're a little bit frustrated with your job. It is a very important skill for your whole career, whatever you're doing, to be able to drive change, to be able to influence other people and to make things happen. And so what I say is, if you're thinking about leaving, you've got one foot out the door, that's a perfect opportunity to give that skill a shot. Try to develop some things. So because you can always leave. If they say no, you can always leave anyway. You're planning on doing it. But before you leave, or maybe it's successful, you're able to actually drive some change and make your job. There's probably a reason you took that job. There's something you liked about the company or the people or the mission. And so if maybe you're able to drive that change, maybe it makes it a better job for you and want to stay there longer. So if you're able to kind of collect your thoughts, if you're able to pitch, maybe it's oftentimes to your manager, right? You're talking like, hey, these are the things I'm frustrated with. But the most important thing on that level is to make sure that you're trying to frame your concerns in the list, like relatively aligned with the priorities of your manager and relatively aligned with the mission of the company. When it's just kind of like me, this is what I think, this is what I want, that's going to be less, people are going to be less receptive to that than, hey, I think if we created this kind of two-way communication system, I think it could help the company achieve its mission better. I think it could help you be a more successful manager. Well, that I'm going to listen to a little bit more. So that's the first thing I emphasize, just in terms of being able to try to create that change. And the other thing is just, again, try to, if you can seek out mentors, if you can seek out people who will tell you the background, the context for that why that Gen Z really craves, that's going to be really valuable in helping you. Again, it doesn't mean you have to stay somewhere certain, but you're going to be growing and you're going to be learning by getting other people to share with you. And if you can come from that place of respect and empathy that, hey, it doesn't mean that it's right or that it's right for your generation, like the perfect fit, the way things have been done. Doesn't mean like it perfectly works with your generation, but it's worth trying to get a sense of why it happened. Chances are there was a reason that it was set up to be this way. Yeah. So just if you can get that understanding, then again, you're more informed and you're better prepared to either make tweaks or perhaps there's things that you didn't consider that that you now know about and can inform your strategies for the future. Yeah. So a big reason I got into talking and getting consulting on this topic is just trying to let's work on this together, right? This should be a teamwork thing. Like we're all one company, we're all one organization, and just saying, oh, that generation's lazy, that generation's old and terrible, and like that's not productive. And let's work together, and we can learn so much from each other. And different doesn't have to mean bad. Different can mean good and exciting, and we can all kind of evolve.